Gen Z is entering the workforce with new perspectives and expectations.
In this podcast, we're here to listen to their stories and experiences, their successes and frustrations, and help employers understand the mindset and perspectives of the up-and-coming workforce.
Employers can't dictate what their young employees find meaningful. What they can do, however, is empower them to create their own sense of purpose and authentic connections.
Our curriculum is designed to help them do exactly that. East Valley Leader Lab is committed to paving the way for more curious, engaged, and connected young professionals in the workplace.
Hi, I'm Amanda Stradling, and I'm here with Timm Eskew. We are the East Valley Leader Lab, and this is our podcast, Mind and Body at Work. If our content resonates with you, we hope you'll click on the link in the show notes for a description of our newest offer, Helping Gen Z Thrive at Work. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts.
Great, Amanda. So today we're going to discuss how human beings, all of us human beings, are practicing beings. And this is part of our series on the SELPH acronym. That's SELPH. And that comes from Bob Dunham and the Institute for Generative Leadership. So, we've talked about how we are all somatic beings. We've talked about how we are all emotional beings. We've talked about how we are all linguistic beings. And today it's about how we're all practicing beings. And, this one is, I think, deceptively simple. Of course, we all practice. We all have things that we enjoy and that we want to practice, and we apply it to our work. But practice is really fundamental to embodied learning, because what's less obvious is that we are all practicing every minute of every day, right? We're practicing how it is that we show up. We're practicing being our personality.
Absolutely. We are what we repeatedly do.
Yep.
Right? And we talked about our emotions and our moods before. That can affect the type of practices that we're choosing, right?
Exactly.
If we're choosing to stay in a closed-off mood, we're going to be moving differently. We're going to form different habits in our daily life, and those habits are going to shape who we are. So it starts with really bringing awareness, right?
Yep.
Bringing awareness to our emotions, to our moods, getting in touch with our body and noticing what we're repeatedly doing, noticing how we're carrying ourselves and how that feels in our body. So, and then building some new practices around that. So it really starts with awareness.
Exactly. And so, in our courses, our embodied leadership courses, we're teaching embodied learning. And one of the things that we do after we help our participants create some new awareness around all of these aspects of the SELPH acronym is we have them identify something about them that they are not quite satisfied with. And then building on the Tai Chi practice that we do and other embodied practices, we help them design a specific practice to address that dissatisfaction, right? What's something that they can put into practice that counters this thing that they, wish wasn't showing up for them on a regular basis? We could give some examples of that. One of the things that shortly after I got some awareness around embodied learning for the first time, this is about 10 years ago, one of the things that I was dissatisfied with was I had a practice of sometimes being with other people that I cared about a lot and not completely paying attention to them, right? Not really being with them, thinking about other things, thinking about my work. And so in hopes of creating a new practice, I shared with my wife, my life partner, that I was aware of this now and that I was trying to change it. And so she would point out to me when she thought I was not listening. And that created a new problem because I would defend myself, right?
Yep.
That became my new dissatisfaction, was every time somebody points out that I'm not listening, I feel like I have to, yes, I was. Yes, I was. I just don't remember what you said. So, that's an example of finding a dissatisfaction and creating a new practice to work through it.
I really love your example, Tim. One thing it kind of brings up for me is I love that your wife was there and that she was the one helping give you feedback. Also, you were enrolled in a leadership course at the time that was giving
Yep.
you feedback. Something we talk about in the Leader Lab is that growth happens often best in connection and community with other people. And that's something we always try to be for our students and embody, that we are there to help give them feedback and someone that they can connect with and be someone that can help them grow.
Yeah, because it's about, it's so fundamental. It's about how we are showing up to others.
Yes.
You need to do this in it's very helpful to do this in a group practice.
Definitely.
An
example for me, and it did also happen in connection with others, my dissatisfaction, I wasn't even aware of it yet. Very early on in my martial art career, my martial art teacher, he's like, hey, will you go submit the attendance or whatever to the front office? He had me walk to the front office across campus. And I'm, carrying my papers and walking clear across the whole school. And he followed me the whole way. and I didn't notice till I was already almost to the office. And he just wanted to make a point that, hey, you're not very safe if you're not aware of someone right by you the whole time.
Yeah.
So he pointed out that my awareness was pretty low and that I was kind of withdrawn and preoccupied, very much existing in my own thoughts. A little bit maybe like your dissatisfaction not being present.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a lot of practices to help raise my awareness, which have kept me safer, but also helped me connect more with others throughout my life.
Yeah. And, as you give that example, it's occurring to me that, we're using the term practice in two different ways. So there's the practices that we are not aware of, that just developed as part of our growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And learning how to deal with the world. We have those practices. That's how we show up. And then what we do in our classes is we create awareness about those and then identify deliberate practices that can get us out of those old habits and, create something new that serves us better. Because, the practice of walking around and not knowing what's going on around you, can create problems.
Absolutely. I want to talk about for our listeners what some of these embodiment practices that we're doing in the class might look like.
Yeah.
We brought up Tai Chi, of course, also Qigong, which is it's very similar to Tai Chi, and it's what we use a lot of. We'll also use some very, very basic, very safe martial arts, like simple blocks, maybe some simple postures, and definitely some stances. So just becoming aware of the way we're standing and holding ourselves and shifting into more powerful stances, more flexible stances. So different ways to move and bringing awareness to those. And of course, in your own life, you could use all sorts of different modalities for that. Yoga is a great one. Not all of the embodiment practices in our class are movement, though. We also do some great breathing exercises that are kind of meditative to bring different awareness to our body, the space around our body, how we're kind of filling that space. And a lot of the practices you'll do by yourself sometimes are with a partner, because we talked about the community and the connection with others. So we'll do things that you get a little feedback, like maybe pushing a little pressure and withholding that pressure, or just different things like that.
Yeah, so you've actually identified a third way that we're using practice. So So first, there's the practices that we are, that occurred as we were growing up, and we're not necessarily very aware of them. We might want to change some of them. We're moving towards some deliberate practices that we want to be able to use on a regular basis to show up a little bit different way. And then in between those two, there are embodiment practices that are just about increasing your overall somatic body-mind awareness. And that's something that in our culture, we tend to focus more on what's going on in my head? What is it that I know? Do I have the right answer to everybody's questions? And that's why we need this third type of practice, which is simply about getting out of our head and in touch with our body so that we can, as we start to move towards some new deliberate practices, we're bringing our whole self, right?
Yep.
SELPH.
That's wonderful. With some mastery of these embodied practices, you can pick things up that you want to change and have a better chance of embodying practices that serve you and what you care about. Anything else we want to add about practice today?
I think we've kind of covered it. We've identified 3 ways of using the term practice and taking something that, again, is kind of deceptively simple, but we can with some increased awareness, we can use it to our advantage.
Great.
So I think that's everything we wanted to cover. We want to thank our listeners for being here, and be well and keep moving.
This has been Mind and Body at Work with the East Valley Leader Lab. Please click on the link in the show notes for a description of our newest offer, Helping Gen Z Thrive at Work. This is our embodiment training to help new young workers integrate into your organization.
As always, if this content resonates with you and your cares, please like, share, and/or subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever it is you get your podcast. Be well and keep moving.